Welcome back, listeners, to Mind Over Matter, the podcast where we explore the intersection of mental health, personal growth, and resilience with inspiring leaders and experts from around the globe. Now, today we have an extraordinary guest with us for you, Gene Burke. Listeners, with over 30 years of experience in operations management and also a deep rooted passion for martial arts, Gene has dedicated his life to mentoring and inspiring others. He's not only a seasoned leader but also a storyteller, sharing profound insights through his three books: The Iron Road, Striking Success, and the recent The Dojo of the Mind. Now, these works delve into the realms of personal development, leadership, and mental wellness, but all through the lens of martial arts philosophy. Gene's unique approach combines discipline, accountability, and resilience, offering actionable, useful tools and tips to help us overcome life challenges. So, whether you are seeking leadership tips, or maybe mental health clarity, or simply a dose of inspiration, this conversation is definitely for you. So, let's quickly dive in. Jean, welcome to the show. And as always, it's an honor having you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my honor to be here.
Jean, so talking about your book, what was that journey? What was that inspiration involved which inspired you to write The Dojo of the Mind and focus on the connection between martial arts and mental wellness?
Yeah, thank you. So, really the genesis of writing that particular book was, especially since COVID hit the world, there's so many people today are impacted by issues of
Mm-hmm,
maybe being challenged with depression or anxiety. And with the martial arts, particularly, really any physical activity, sport.
mm-hmm,
Actually, my background is in the martial arts and weightlifting and things like that. So, over the years, through my own personal experience,
mm-hmm,
I found how the martial arts can help with dealing with anxiety,
mm-hmm.
depression, just a feeling of uncertainty and things like that, because there really is a very, very strong mind-body connection. So, when you're engaged in physical activity, it kind of takes you out of yourself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in other words, you're having to be mindful about what you're actually doing in the moment. So that really was the genesis. And especially in the last few years, I saw so many people around me that were just, having some challenges, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
with, anxiety and, feeling a little unease and things like that. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of delve into how specifically the martial arts can help people kind of manage and navigate
Mm-hmm.
that. It's not, obviously it's really, really important. I want to preface this by saying I think it's really, really important if people are having mental wellness challenges and things like that. Absolutely to seek professional counseling. That's paramount. Get professional help if you need it. And the
Yeah,
amazing thing is, and especially I'll say it, especially in society today for young men, it's very difficult to ask for help. So I think that's
yes,
really
yes.
you should be kind to yourself and get help when you need it. But this book delves into how you can help yourself by using
Mm-hmm.
some tools and some suggestions to kind of help your own path.
Of course, of course. I think that self explains how important it is to address mental wellness, and with martial arts I think it becomes much more easier to get some useful tips and tools. Also, in your book you discuss how physical exercise can act as a mental reset. So can you elaborate on how sports and martial arts contribute to emotional wellness and mental clarity?
Sure. So and again, there's an absolute connection, and especially in Western society, I think we've kind of detached the mind body connection somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
and it's absolutely true that what affects the mind affects the body and vice
Yeah.
versa. So, using physical activity, exercise, and in this case, the book is written about martial arts, it really does help you. Like I'll give you an example. So,
Mhm.
I used to, when I was delving, when I was really, really, really heavily into the martial arts and training almost every day. And, I used to have, at that time, I worked at a job where I worked more in the evenings. So I used to go to the morning
Mhm.
classes. And,
Okay.
um, I could have had a horrible day the day before at work, and I'd wake up and I'd still feel kind of ruffled, and
Mhm.
I would go to the morning class, and there's so many dynamics that fall into it. One, the act of actually having the discipline to get up and go to class. So that's a key
Mhm.
thing, it helps develop discipline. And then when you got there, I had to focus about what my teacher, what my sensei was teaching us to do. I couldn't be
Mhm.
thinking about the day before. I had to be focused on what was going on. And there was also a community aspect to it.
Mhm.
I had people around me. And one, that helps draw you out of yourself as well. And just the fact of seeing people that you enjoy being around and you're all moving towards a common goal, really does help facilitate a reset. I could tell you there were many times, like after, there were sometimes when we were doing things in class that wasn't particularly happy about because it was hard. But the
Mhm.
great thing about it was it also helped with your confidence, because
Mm.
you put a task in front of you, could be very, very difficult, and you got through that. And both personally and then as a community, it created a bond. And I could tell you, literally all the
Mhm.
time, I would leave that
Mhm.
class and I'd have a complete mindset shift. And I was upbeat and I was ready for the day. And it just helped kind of reset where my mind was and how I was feeling.
Wow. Wow. So, as you mentioned about this, also, when we try to take up a practice, let's say meditation, yoga, or martial arts, the main thing which many people struggle with is finding discipline in their routine, having that consistency to follow. So, how can the principles of martial arts help someone develop and sustain discipline in their lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a an American author named Jocko Willink, and he
Mm-hmm.
has a great quote, and it's "Discipline equals freedom." I love that quote. And discipline, discipline has a negative connotation to it. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
hear, they hear discipline and think, "Oh my goodness, what do I have to do?" But the fact that you're pursuing a goal, and it could be anything again, so it could be martial art, it could literally be, you're working in your garden. It could be,
Mm-hmm.
like when I was writing my books, there were days when, I just I didn't really think I had the energy to do it, for a variety of reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
through discipline, I would map out a certain time every day, and I'd be like, unless the world is burning down, I'm going to sit down, and I could sit and look at the computer or look at what
Mm-hmm.
I was writing. I could be sitting there for a half an hour. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
comes to mind. But the fact that I built in a pattern of discipline that every day I would set time apart to focus on this one particular task. And I think, sometimes people get overwhelmed and they're afraid of failure. That's a huge thing. Sometimes people
Mm, yeah.
procrastinate because
Yes.
they're afraid they'll fail. It's okay
Right.
to fail. The Japanese martial arts, that's the style that I took, was they have a great saying, 7 times down, 8 times up. You're going to fail,
Wow.
but
Wow.
get up and try again. So even if it's small bites, if you're really having a hard time, it
Mm-hmm.
whatever the task may be, if you set aside, commit to set aside, even if it's 5 minutes a day, just break into it slowly. You don't have to take on this massive task that's overwhelming. That's going to, you don't want to create a situation that's causing you, if you're having, let's say, issues with anxiety or, fear or whatever it might be, you don't want to add
Mm-hmm.
another huge task in front of you that's going to complicate the issue. So if that's your case, take small bites, try it in small, like you mentioned meditation.
Yeah.
Um, Meditation is a wonderful tool, but a lot of people stop doing it because, let's say, they'll think I have to sit and meditate for 30 minutes. Well, when you're beginning, that's incredibly difficult. Try try
Mm-hmm.
2 minutes, try 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and build into it. And I think that's the key. The key is to be able to, one, understand yourself, understand your surroundings, understand what's happening in your life, your timelines and things like that, and then build in specific time slots and dedicate yourself to doing that task on a particular every day on a particular day.
Yeah. I mean, the starting small each and every day may not be 15 minutes or half an hour, but 5 minutes, as you mentioned, I think
Sure.
going to create the consistency. Also, uh, about your book, so what key takeaways can readers take from the Dojo of the Mind?
Thank you. Yeah. So, I think there's a couple of things that really
Mm-hmm.
delve into it. One, I think it's really important, through the martial arts, especially, and I found this, I used to watch younger folks come into the class and, they might be unsure of themselves, particularly teenagers and things like that. And one of the things that the martial arts can bring is respect for yourself, because you're
Mm-hmm.
doing a difficult task. And I don't mean difficult. It's difficult because it's new. I don't mean it's difficult physically. Sometimes it can be, but the fact that you're doing it, and you're having the discipline to get up and go whatever time it might be, and it could be anything. It could be any sport you're doing, any physical activity. It could be you're working in your garden, whatever it might be. But with the martial arts specifically, it helped. I think I would see young people just transform with their own self-respect and confidence. I think it also brings a level, it builds in consistency, because you have
Mm-hmm.
to be good at anything. I'll use bodybuilding as an example, and it's
Yeah.
the same thing in
Mm-hmm.
the martial arts. If someone wants to be a bodybuilder, for example, and they go to the gym, and let's say they do something where they're working on their biceps, and they do that once a month, well, nothing's going to happen because it's once a month. But if they do it repeatedly, consistency is key, and it's key to success.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the things about the martial arts. Most martial arts have belt systems where they're testing you along the way. So it gives you goals. It's also great for goal setting. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it is enjoy yourself. Even if the task is difficult, find something that you're going to enjoy. People sometimes take on tasks, and this is like with the martial arts, especially, people jump around the different arts and
Mm-hmm.
things, and that's fantastic because they're finding their own path. If you're going to take on if let's say you're going to take on, I'll use again martial arts for an example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you take a specific martial art and you're there for a couple of months and you're doing everything that you're trying to do. You're there every day, you're consistent,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't like it. Then try it. Test different martial arts out because it might not
Mm-hmm.
resonate with you. So I think that's really important. One is consistency, self-respect,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy what you do. It can transform your life because it
Mm-hmm.
translates into everything.
Yeah.
That consistency, that self-discipline, people around you in your social settings will definitely see a change, if it
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been there before. People at
Mm-hmm.
work, if you're working for someone or if you're working for a group of, managers or, and your peers at work, they'll see a shift in you as well. So it has so many
Yeah.
positive impacts across your life. And that's really with anything again. So when I use martial arts specifically, but it could be really any physical activity, sport, whatever it might be, that people see you growing in yourself and developing yourself and feeling better about yourself. It's transformative.
Yes, it is. It is. And also, a bit of a personal question, Jean. You have experienced challenges like bullying and adversity in your own life. How did martial arts and physical exercise help you overcome um, the trauma or these struggles? And what lessons can others take from your journey?
Yeah, thank you. So, when I was young, I was physically, for my age, I was very small and I had some skin conditions.
Yeah.
So, and believe me, I know, so many people in their childhood, I mean, it's part of childhood being bullying,
Mm-hmm.
but, it was very hard for me. It was unrelenting. It was daily and things like that. And actually, I didn't start with the martial arts. For me personally, what happened was, um, my mom actually brought me to this gentleman who had a gym, and he helped. It was actually before it was actually before there were personal trainers. It was really interesting, and that started my journey in weightlifting.
Okay.
And what happened was that's when I began to discover. like when I was weightlifting, it had a couple of effects. Obviously, and I had a growth spurt during high school, so I
Mhm.
got very big for my size, for my age. But when I realized when I was weightlifting, I wasn't thinking about, oh my gosh, I got to go to school tomorrow. Or I wasn't thinking about,
Mm,
oh, I'm being bullied. I'm so anxious because I'm bullied and things.
yeah.
All that went away when I was weightlifting, and it actually helped refocus my mindset because, on some level, yeah, the bullying for a while continued, while I
Mm-hmm.
was beginning weightlifting and things like that. But I still had, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to the gym
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna be weightlifting. So it kind of diminished the effect. And then what happened was, by the time I was, in high school, I'll just say that the weightlifting was effective and the bullying stopped. That's what I'll say.
Wow.
So, it just, and what I think is really important about that for people who are bullied, um, you're not alone. And it's not
Yeah,
because there, there's some, it's not because there's something wrong with you. I think that's
exactly.
critical. I think there are just, especially when kids are growing up, and it can happen to adults too. There are just nasty people around who have their own issues,
True.
who lash out because they're having their own issues. And I think it's critical for people to realize that if you're being bullied, there's nothing wrong with you. It's the other person's problem, and it really is how you deal with it internally.
True, true. Very, very rightly said, Jean. That's really, really inspiring and empowering. And so, for someone just starting out in martial arts or physical fitness, what advice would you give to ensure that they stay consistent, they enjoy the journey, the process, and they also reap the mental health benefits?
Yeah, so it's really, whatever you're doing, it's really, and we live in a world where information's at our fingertips now.
Yeah.
With the do as much research as you want, as you can. Learn about, even before you go to the school, which I think is really, really important. If you're going to go to, whether it's a gym or martial arts school, or a dance studio, whatever it might be, do some research before you go there. Look at how they're rated on Google. Most
Hmm.
businesses get ratings and things like that. Look at customer comments and things like that. And then find something that you like, and then go check it out, and then mentally make a commitment. And again, it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. Even if it's third, let's say, for example, most businesses, or gyms or martial arts, you can
Hmm.
join monthly and make an absolute commitment. And it doesn't have to be every day. So if you say to yourself, I'm just going to go twice a week or 3 times a week,
Hmm.
that for a month, absolutely commit yourself to that. Set the time aside for yourself. That's one of the things that I think is really important for mental health and mental wellness. You have to set People have to set time aside for themselves. We
Hmm.
live in a world where we're pulled in so many different directions constantly, and there's so much
Yeah.
negativity in media and online, and how people speak to each other and things.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really important that be kind to yourself and commit to yourself that, hey, I'm going to do something for me. And then for those 30
Mhm.
days, stick to your commitment. And I can almost guarantee there's never 100% guarantees in life. But if you go and you go there, whatever the activity is, and you see that you enjoy it, you see that there's a community there, you're being
Mhm.
inspired by the community, you'll look forward to the next month, and then the next month, and
Mm.
then the next month, and that'll build consistency. And then while you're doing it, you will enjoy the process, and that will help with mental wellness. Because now there's something, one, you're doing something for yourself. You're staying to your commitments. It builds confidence. And one of the things I'd like to say is, I think it's really important for people. We'll talk to ourselves internally,
Yep.
typically much
Mhm.
nastier than we'll speak to outside people. You know,
Exactly.
I think it's really, really important for people to be kind to themselves. And you may get naysayers. Let's say, for example, you join a gym, or you join a dance
Mhm.
studio, or you join a martial arts school. You may have people around you, trying to shoot that down. Oh, don't do that.
Mhm.
That's a waste of time. Blah blah blah. Ignore them.
Mhm.
This is
Mhm.
your journey. Let them do them. you know,
True,
focus on yourself. And I think that's critical.
true, true. Wow, that was very, very inspiring, Jean. And finally, if our listeners they would wish to connect with you and also get a hold of your book, The Dojo of the Mind, how they can do that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So my books are found on Amazon.com. And if you just type in books by Gene Burke, they'll all pop up. So and we actually have a website that we just started. It's called Third Monkey Productions, and
Wow.
it's basically it's Third Monkey
Hmm.
Pro
Hmm.
and we have other materials there as well.
Great. We'll have all the details mentioned in the show notes for all of our listeners to reach out to you, Jean. And thank you so much, first of all, for sharing your incredible wisdom, your experiences. And I think your journey, it really is, it can not be a better example of of overcoming personal struggles to now becoming a beacon of resilience and leadership. So I think for all of our listeners I would say please check out Jean's books, especially The Dojo of the Mind. You can refer to the show notes along with this episode. And Jean, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
So, listeners, as Jean reminds us, our obstacles can shape us. And with the right mindset and tools, we can all rise above them to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. Thank you to all of you for tuning into Mind Over Matter. If you found today's conversation meaningful, please subscribe, share, and join us next time as we continue to explore the power of the human mind. Until then, take care and keep striving for greatness. Thank you.